Alright, so here's where we are starting off. We got the engine still in the same spot it was yesterday. I went to Lowe's and I was able to get, all the adapter fittings. I'm going to temporarily plug the oil pressure sensor because it won't be until tomorrow, and the fitting to use the common rail sensor won't be in until Tuesday. So that's the only thing between that, and there was one other part I can't remember, but I want to go over and show you guys like all of the fittings that we have to use. Someone made mention about this guy here, so I'm going to be trying to figure that out, but we'll see about maybe we'll get it to work. I don't know yet, but like I said, we have, remember this guy that sat in here, we have a 90 for that. We have a plug for the back side right here, so we'll be plugging that. Barb fitting. I got a plug for that guy, and I actually even went and got a second plug for my motor because my sensor's still in place for back here, the water temp sensor. So I went and got a plug for mine as well, and just a bunch of good old, 1/4 inch. This one will block off. One of these will block off the oil pressure sensor on the other side. So I want to make sure that I get all of that for you guys so that you know. And then we got our 90 right here, which is 3/4 by 3/4. This is what they have. This is what I'm using on mine, no problem. So screw it in there and then screw the barb in. You can pick your sizes. We have fittings here. Unfortunately, with this guy, I am going to end up using one of these on that. And then I have a second one. I forget where that one was supposed to go. But I got a 2-pack. We got valve covers. We got water pump. Just basically all of the good parts that we're going to need for this engine. So I'm going to try to get everything assembled today, minus the rear main we pick up tomorrow. And the front main we pick up tomorrow. I got 2 front mains from Cummins directly so that I could redo mine as well. And hopefully get rid of the oil leaks. I don't know yet if I'm going to go and get another motor. I have my truck sitting out there, but I don't know yet if I'm going to go get another motor or just pull my motor out and just refurbish it. I don't know yet. Either or will be possible. We'll see. So I want to get rid of, my motor's a pain in the ass, but yeah, so we'll get all this cleaned up. We will have I got the gasket for the vacuum pump, and we'll get the PPump back in today. We got the tappet cover today. We do have a gasket for the fuel pump, so we'll be reusing that. So I really do like these plugs, even though, yes, they do tendency have problems with them, but I do like these over sticking something in, putting a bolt in it. All right, so how we're doing everything, okay? This is the way I'm going to do it. This is wrong. I need to go get the correct one, but I got it so that I was gonna hopefully tap this out. So for the front one, I block it off, okay? I'm gonna put a little bit of sealant on that and get that sealed. For this one here, you're going to want an adapter. This is what I'm running on my truck with the adapter here. Everything's all well and good. This guy here, I put a plug because the way that I was told to do it was really good, but we need to heat it up and then cool it down really fast, and hopefully it can come out, but we're gonna put a plug on that. We have right here, 3/4 by 3/4, and then a 5/8 barb. And then back here, we have a plug as well. Then over here on the intake, I have a plug as well. I couldn't get the one that I wanted, so they have them in stock, so I was able to get this one, not a big deal. But you guys can see over here, I have my laptop, and I have I have an entire list here for a 12-valve swap, okay? So I didn't go into as much detail with mine as I am going to be doing with this one. So as I'm doing this swap for the guy, I'm going to be releasing that list at the end so that you guys can see what all goes into this and see if you guys want to tackle it. Like everything, I have links to the website where you can just order this online. Now, if there's a different way that you guys do it and you want me to add things into the list or change things, you guys can certainly let me know, but that's going to be that. So right now, I'm going to work on getting all of these sensors and all these adapters and plugs, everything in, Teflon, sealant, all that stuff. We're going to work on getting the head studs torqued down, and then we're going to start regasketing this motor and getting it cleaned up. So I want to get the intake plenum back on. I want to get the tappet cover done And a lot of this stuff, I'm gonna clean the surfaces up, put it all on, and then we're gonna clean this motor after we get it pretty much all assembled. Like I said, we'll wait to do the front main and the rear main till tomorrow, and then that means we can put the clutch on, and we'll go from there. So parts list total, I'm gonna show you guys what all we've done to this. Now this is more on the budget friendly side, but if you come down here, we're into parts already. $1,528 for every part that we needed to do this. Now that is going to include I forget what all I did actually buy for it. I did do the water pump, tappet cover, all that stuff. That's where we're at right now with parts. That's not including, we need to get the AC compressor and a couple other little miscellaneous things. The starter is also going to be in there, so we're probably going to be looking at right around $2 grand for all the parts. Sensors he was not able to get, so I have to go get my own sensors. The oil pressure sensor I have ordered. The coolant temp sensor I had to pull myself, and then a few other little sensors here and there I had to pull from the parts truck as well. So it sucks, but it is what it is. We have two other, I'm going to put one of these in for the oil, one of these in 1/8 inch NPT, that's going to be for the oil, and then this 1/4 inch. Off the top of my head, I don't, actually I think I got extras for me personally, but you guys can see over here, if you guys look at the vacuum pump, this is where the other nub was going to go, so I'm going to put that on there. It's 1/2 inch. I got a 5/8 one. It's not a big deal. Once you put a hose clamp on it, everything is all good there. So I need to get the tappet cover all cleaned up and thrown back on. I want to get this intake. We're going to throw this intake back on and then clean everything up. Tomorrow will be the day that we can pressure wash, because it's supposed to be like 70 and rainy. So I want to get the whole engine sealed off, all the new parts on, and then we'll go ahead, like I said, pressure wash everything. I got it pretty clean up in here, so I took the vacuum and some pressured air, but obviously like we can do a lot better than that. I need to get this bracket here off, and slow and steady. So we are getting there, and like I said, I did order extras and shit, but this is going to get replaced with an actual adapter. I cannot find that adapter on a permanent site. I had to go and order it. It's a 1/8, which is a tiny little thing, 1/8 NPT, and then it goes to like M14 by 1.5. So that's going to sit right down here in this little hole, and it basically goes from this small hole to a bigger sensor. So I don't know why they did it that way, but that's what we're going to do. So this one I'm not going to add in the list unless you guys don't want a working oil pressure sensor, but I do recommend. It's not hard just to go and buy that sensor, but I found it on eBay, so I can't link it for you guys. Like everything on here, I'm linking as much as I can on these on these permanent sites. You can see like Lowe's, Amazon, stuff like that. The Remflex gaskets, the spacer plate hole video, like where you can do that. I'm linking as much on here as I possibly can, and I want to go over this list and do a permanent good list for people that actually want to do this swap in 3rd gens, because I'm the only one who gets to do this. Nobody on YouTube's doing it other than the ones that are already done with it. If you guys like how you see this and you like the price that I give him after all said and done, by all means send me more of them, because I love doing these. Alright, so unfortunately the air compressor was going the entire time, but I got all this clean. I put the bolts back where they all go because that's super picky about that. I also got the top of this and the bottom of this pretty clean for what it is. So I knocked off all the loose paint. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some thread sealer on these guys here, which that'll take care of that, and then we can throw this back on the engine. Now there's many ways to do this. My plate here only ever had one, whereas it looks like this one has two, because most of them, the grid heaters are actually integrated in this, and Cummins sells this with the grid heater all attached for about $1,000. It's like $1,100. It's something stupid insane like that. But if I didn't realize that there was two of them, I would have just gotten two to match, which not really a big deal, but that's something that I would have done looking back. I'm going to make sure of this from now on. I only knew that they came with one, so it's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt anything, especially because it's in the back of the engine, but I would like to make a mental note of that at some point. All right, all the fittings, besides that one because I got to tap it, are in and secured. That one's done. The one back here is done. This one, the temporary, I actually forgot about that one. I got to do that yet. This is on temporarily. I didn't have it tightened down, but I did put these 4 bolts in and this one here. just to make sure that it was all lined up. So this isn't coming back off, but it is tight enough that the gasket's not going to go anywhere, but loose enough that we didn't crush it yet. So I'm going to go ahead. I just retorqued all the head studs to 110, or head bolts. So I'm going to retorque them to about 115 now, because it seems like there was more left. So 115 on the factory head bolts, and I'm going to time lapse that so you guys can see that I actually did it. Alright, there are retorqued 115 foot-pounds, and I went and checked the middle one after I did all that, so we're good. 115 foot-pounds. Now we can redo all the adjustments, but again, we're going to keep regasketing, and then as I get to it, then I will start tackling. There, here's the tappet cover gasket. You can see it says forward, which is this way, and then every one of these we're going to pop in, and I made sure to get all of the oil and grease off of like the center holes. This one's kind of a little bit more of a fight, so I'm gonna watch that one. Set them all in there. Set your little gasket on top. So now I need to grab the bolts, because what I do is I like to put the bolts in the holes that they go, so that way I don't lose them. I need to clean the side of the block up, so that way we don't have any leaks. And when you do go to put this gasket on, I'll show you here in a second when I get these bolts out. What you need to do is, you see how the front, look how much thicker the back side is. You see that? There's like a groove that goes the whole way down. So make sure that you put this gasket on right, or you'll be doing it again. And to do it again, you got to take the P-pump off. There. Tap cover's on. Spray that down once, you know, we do the engine cleaning and whatnot. So had to loosen this guy here to clean this part, but whatever. All right, here's where we are at. Tensioner has been replaced. Water pump, power steering pump is back on after putting all that stuff on. There's a line down here. Get all your nuts and bolts tight. And then I need to get this line off here, and it's so seized. So we'll get that, and then we're going to throw the P-pump on next. We'll be able to do the valve adjustment and then throw the lines on. So we're getting there. Slow and steady. Alright, D-Boss has a good video on this, so you guys can see intake's rocking, or exhaust is rocking, intake is all the way down, so one's up, one's down, meaning I can do number 2. We've already done number 3, so we're going to keep doing it that way. You can see here, the specs are a little bit out on some of these. Alright, not sure what we caught on camera, but everything, they're all done. I mark them after they're done so you don't forget where you're at. But you can see, like, if I come here, let's see which one's going to go down. See that one? So that one's rocking, or that one's down, so that means that 2 is rocking. And then you go to the next one. Next one, 3. This one's down. This one here. Alright, I'm going to attempt to show you this. So there's supposed to be a nub right there, right? So, let's see if I can get you guys in there. You guys see that hole there? That needs to be centered. So that's how you know you're a TDC. This guy marked it, but it's never exact. So once that's centered, then you can put your injection pump on and center that as well. So that's the next thing. We're going to get the injection pump on. Alright, critical. Make sure you get that guy down in there. Let's see if I can get the light on. There you go. Get that guy on, this here, these, and then when you're going to put this bracket back on the bottom, you have your bolt that goes in the side, right in there. And then make sure that you put this guy back right there, because, oh, let's see, right there, because that is what holds your spring, your throttle return spring. So get all that stuff in, throw your long bolts down, don't forget that step, super important. So this, you pull this cap out, that's what it'll look like. Pull this tab, you need to spin the pump until you can see that, and this fits in there like that. That's how you know this is in time. You can see this one is 12.5 degrees from the factory. Can't even get, yeah, right there, 12.5 degrees. So we're gonna leave it on the factory timing. Everything's gonna be stock. So just make sure before you torque this down that you pull this out. But yeah, so engine's TDC, pump is TDC. Now we are going to put the gear back on and torque that thing down. All right, when you go to put these pumps on, make sure you spray this with something stronger than brake clean. Get all the grease and oil out, otherwise this gear will slip. So there is nothing, you can see, nothing that holds this on besides friction. I think the torque spec's 180, but I'm gonna verify, but it is a massive, massive torque. So get it on loosely and then pull your tab out back there. Just make sure that this pump does not spin. Make sure none of this spins. All right, the way that I did it was I impacted this on first. That way, you know, the thing's not gonna spin. Then I took this, put it in the off, or put it in the on position, and torqued it. He held the motor up for me. And then you still wanna make sure that that didn't move. It did not. You can see we're still in time, so that's good. So we're gonna leave that as is. Like I said, make sure that taper is clean. I've never had one slip, but I've seen on the forums that they're saying that some guys have not been able to not get it to slip. Now I'm gonna put the cap, obviously make sure that you take this and put it back in there. Put it in there. If you don't, you will leak oil. You will leak a lot of oil. All right, next step, getting the valve covers back on. We got the fuel lines back on. I had to get the fuel lines on so that I could get the intake horn on. I got all of the new gaskets and O-rings, so we're gonna get all those thrown back on. It's a shame we don't have the front main today, because I would have this engine all buttoned up, but we need the front main. I got him an AC compressor, a bunch of other things. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to put the rear adapter plate back on either until the rear main is done. So kind of sucks, but is what it is. All right, valve covers all torqued down. Here is your grid heater. So usually these are a 2-piece on the 5.9s 12 valves, but this one's a 2-piece for some reason. So if you do happen to have one that is a 1-piece, they are very expensive. So if you're going to do your grid heater delete, just know that they are expensive to replace if you want to do them. Next motor I get will absolutely keeping the grid heater. Definitely a little bit of restriction. So we're going to get these gaskets cleaned off and throw it back on. Alright, I'm going to have to go get him another one, but tomorrow. So the lift pump is broken here. This is what you're going to be using. This is a mechanical lift pump. So what ended up happening is the shaft is actually broken and I need to go get another gasket. So this is just a placeholder right here, but I'm gonna go tomorrow, grab one. And what else? We're doing the AC compressor now, and I got a brand new starter. We'll throw that in there, and still gonna have to get these lines off right here. Besides that, we got our vacuum pump plug and the P-pump's on, everything's tightened down. I found the fittings. You can see right here's 1 and 2 that were sitting up in here. So there's a little bit of a mess of bolts. I don't know what is what until I get into it, but we're slowly making our way. All right, so I spent some time. I got all of these cleaned up for the most part. I was able to go through and just grind all that out. We got the alternator on, which we are gonna reuse the old one. I do recommend replacing it down the road, but it is a lot easier to do. We have a lot better of an AC compressor than what was on it, and that should be it. Pretty much it's all going together. So we're gonna get the exhaust manifold on. I got new gaskets for it. He wanted to reuse the turbo for now. If it was end up being bad, we'll replace it, you know, to save a little bit of money. I can't get this turbo on the spot, so if he wants to order one, it would actually save him a lot of money just to go and order one online as opposed to going out to Cummins and getting a genuine one for a few $1,000s. So not worth it there. I did recommend replacing it. I was told not to. So we'll send it, see what happens. Not my choice. Other than that, I'm still looking. I was able to go get an oil feed. So we should be able to get that oil feed to work. I need to go and get an oil drain for it. And all in all, it's coming together pretty well. Need to save that and that. Need to figure out what goes in there. There is a fitting missing that goes to the lift pump. So I'm hoping that it is somewhere in this mess. But the previous owner that this guy bought it off of, not only did he not know what he was doing, but I'm gonna say he's kind of a dick, because he just took parts and threw them everywhere. And I don't actually see that part anywhere. There's a common rail line. So I don't see the part for the lift pump. So I don't know what route we're gonna go, whether we use the factory lift pump or we use the in-tank pump, but pretty sure we have to use the factory pump because that puts out a lot more pressure, but it doesn't hurt to have a pusher as well. So we'll have the pusher in the tank, and then this will be the pull. So 2 lift pumps. That's how I ran it for a while there, and it worked great until mine finally failed. So when I was saying about the previous owner being an asshole, I meant it. This is why people should not be allowed to work on shit and then sell it. So I need one of these bolts here, and I have no idea where to get one of those. So gonna have to get one of them and a washer. I gotta get this tightened up, and then I'm pretty much done for the day. It's about 5 o'clock. Everything is all ready. Just need the front main, rear main, and throw the clutch on, and then this bad boy is going in. And I do need to go tomorrow and get the plug, or get the plates so that we can put the motor mounts on. So that's about it, and this thing's ready to go in and fire. Oh yeah, that'll sit right on the motor mount. Can't use that. Alright, so I'm seeing it here. So I may be able to modify this to clear, because there's like a little bit of an angle there. So if I could bend this up a little bit and then hit it straight, like cut it off right there straight, we may be able to actually get into this. So we'll see. If that's the case, that would make life so much easier as opposed to drilling the block. But I will add that and update that on the list if possible, or if it does work. So I'll update that later on. And then you guys can see here, this is what ended up happening to the lines on his AC compressor. So I need to clean all of that off as well. These are gonna get notched about 1/4 inch on the back side. You can see right there, so we'll notch those. Same with on this side. That goes along with that 1/4 inch plate, because the motor mounts will physically get pushed out on each side by about 1/4 inch. So that's pretty much gonna do it. I'm gonna get my mess cleaned up and then go eat. So here's the parts list we have left. All that, it's getting pretty small. Up here and show you guys pretty much what we got done today. Was the entire engine is now assembled, minus the obvious BS, but we'll be able to take care of that tomorrow. I can't wait for all the parts to come in. If you guys want, you can replace the oil pumps. I never have. I haven't in my truck either, and I haven't had any issues yet, but you can replace the oil pump. It's right here, and there is a way to actually upgrade these oil pumps. I think you can fit the 8.3s in here with a little bit of modifications. I forget what it was, but we're not going to do that. Oil pan tomorrow. I'm going to go first thing in the morning. We'll grab the oil pan and all the other stuff, and then this thing is ready to, we'll slap her in. I'm going to go find some plates so you guys can see what I was saying here. So this motor mount, see how it's moved back? The plate will bolt into this one, bolt in between the block and this, and then in the back, that'll give us 2 holes back here. So that's how the motor mounts work on a 12-valve swap. That's the best way to do it, because a lot of guys are apparently modifying their frames and trying to move this motor mount up. And that just, honestly, it's not the correct way to do it, and you don't need to do it that way. That is just a lot of extra work for no reason. The nice thing about this is if you ever decided you want to take this motor out and sell it and put a common rail back in, the way that I do it is that you don't ever have to permanently modify your truck. You can go in here. I'm not going to cut any harnesses. We're going to take harnesses, set them nicely. It just depends on customer budget. And if he ever wanted to go back to a common rail, he could. So same thing with this, and then this engine doesn't get modified. This is basically why we're doing stuff like this as opposed to welding things like what was it, like this hole here, you could weld this shut, or, you know, there's a bunch of things that you could do. And honestly, it's just, in my opinion, I'd rather make it reversible. That's kind of the plan. So we'll probably try to modify this tomorrow. I'm gonna try and see if we can actually get this one here to fit in that location, and it looks like we can bend it up pretty good. So a lot of stuff in tomorrow's video, and it'll be great. Hopefully tomorrow we get the engine in. Hopefully. No promises, but we're into this pretty much 2 full days, minus, I think I only spent like an hour on it yesterday. So pretty much 2 full days. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if there's anything that you want to see that you need me to go over. If you are attempting to do this swap, like I said, I will release the 12-valve swap sheet that I have at the end, and then as other people are doing it, or people bring it to me and they want it done a different way, we can always add or modify the list if needed. But I want to get it to the point where it's just an easy swap for people and they can learn from pretty much the way that I've done it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to dislike, unsubscribe, and leave a hate comment, and I will see you in the next video. Safe travels. Later.